Hello, friends. I came across an interesting article where a local accountant criticizes other Montenegrin accountants and also picks apart foreign accountants as well. I want to read you some excerpts from this article and, comment on them. Accountants submit tax reports, which form the basis for determining tax obligations. A system is needed to combat tax evasion and money laundering. Foreign citizens and locals, without having an accountant certificate, open their own firms, often even without knowing the language. Here, she's both right and wrong at the same time. Yes, foreign citizens often open accounting firms, frequently without knowing the language, and often without having an accounting certificate. I have one myself. But it must be said frankly that it's not only foreign citizens who are guilty of this. Local accountants are no better. Half of them also don't have any accounting certificate, because getting it is far from easy. When I took this exam, I've already mentioned this in a video before, actually. I think in several videos out of our group of 96 people, only 24 passed the exam on the first try. You can only retake it once. So if you don't pass on time and you don't pass the retake, then you have to start studying all over again and take the exam again in a few months. In other words, the requirements are quite strict, and not everyone is willing to go through with it. That's why most people, well, I'm not sure if it's the majority, but definitely a lot of people don't have certification. Most likely half of them do. Now, regarding the system for combating tax evasion and money laundering, such a system has already been established in Montenegro. This has nothing to do with whether accountants have certificates or not. It's related to oversight by the authorities. In other words, it depends on whether the tax authorities will monitor or not. They have created the system, but at the moment it is not being enforced. However, we expect it to start being enforced soon, since they didn't create it for nothing. Obviously, if they've passed these laws, they're preparing to start enforcing them. And I think that in the near future, they'll start cracking down on those whose assets are significantly greater than the income they declare. Assets is a broad concept. It includes both movable and immovable property, as well as funds in the bank. All the laws necessary for this have already been passed. So now, anyone can be asked, for example, where did you get 50,000 in your account if you only earned 5,000 last year? Why did you receive an extra 50,000? And accordingly, sooner or later, people will start being punished for this. I think this will happen within the next couple of years. Let me continue reading. Right now is the critical time when this area needs to start being regulated. Otherwise, Montenegro will miss out on significant financial inflows that could be brought in by foreign citizens. Here, for some reason, she thinks, I don't know what she thinks, the article doesn't specify whether accountants are hiding their income or whether foreign citizens are hiding their income. But again, if it's foreign citizens hiding their income, then accountant certification doesn't play any role at all. Most of these firms are simply non-operational, and all their income is off the books. Where they came from is unknown. No one declares any foreign income, and the firms are not operating. So it's clear here. As for accountants, it's true that the vast majority hide their income. We work through a bank account, meaning everything is paid for sure if it's paid to the firm's account, but that's more the exception than the rule. And well, I think there may be one or two other agencies like mine that also operate this way. That's it. The rest really do everything under the table. But again, this isn't about whether someone has a certificate or not, because both certified and non-certified accountants work off the books. It's due to the lack of oversight. Only with it. It's important that not just anyone can do this, only certified accountants. The current practice, where anyone can do this work, has led to a significant drop in the prices for accounting services. They're now at a level where it's not profitable to do this work. But again, she's not entirely right. I do agree, though, that only someone with the proper education should be doing this. In principle, I probably agree, mainly because I have nothing to worry about. I have 4 certificates, one of which is Montenegrin. By the way, this spring I'm going to get another one. So if they do adopt such a rule, it doesn't really bother me. But she disagrees that prices have dropped because just anyone is doing this work. Prices are falling for 2 reasons. Actually, not even 2, probably just 1. Is it because people are doing this work incorrectly? First of all, everyone and not everyone, but most are working off the books. This is dangerous both for their clients and for the accountants themselves. Both certified and uncertified accountants are doing this. That is, if you look at the financial statements of any firm in the accounting firm, you'll see that almost all of them declare either extremely small, completely unrealistic profits. And these are firms that have been in the market for a long time, with many clients, or they declare large losses. There you have it. In other words, no one is paying taxes. Accordingly, if you're not paying taxes, your costs are significantly lower than those of honest accountants. And you can offer lower prices because over the course of a year, your expenses due to not paying taxes are 80 to 100,000 less than another accountant. So obviously your cost price is lower as well. The second thing that also happens is that often, to reduce their expenses, they cut down on the number of employees. To reduce the number of employees, you have to reduce the amount of work, meaning you have to give up some secondary tasks that you're supposed to do as an accountant, but which aren't being monitored right now. Maybe they'll start monitoring them in a year, or maybe in 20 years. Well, why do them now? So that's why, by reducing taxes, by cutting down on work, meaning by refusing to do required tasks that you simply don't do, or perhaps by strategically choosing which tasks to complete or leave unfinished, and sometimes by simply delaying certain responsibilities, some people really manage to work for very little money. In other words, there's a choice on the market between quality accountants and those who work almost at cost price. But the cost price for quality accountants is different because, thanks to the factors I just described, they manage to reduce it significantly, often in ways that are not immediately obvious or apparent to everyone involved. As a result, both groups end up with the same profit, but the price is different. That's how it is, and the amount of work being done is also different. So she's latched onto this incident thinking that if she now forces only licensed accountants to work, everything will be easy and all these issues will be resolved. Nothing like that will happen. These issues will only be resolved when there is oversight, when the government comes in and says, so why haven't you, as an accountant, submitted reports to the pension fund for 100 companies? Let's fine you €2,500 for each company right now. When those 100 companies leave her for a competent accountant, she won't do that again. And others will see what happened to her, and they won't do it either. But as long as there's no such oversight, this is what keeps happening. Or here's another scenario. Why is it that you have 200 companies under your management? So why hasn't a single one of them registered a work record book? Fine every company, and then all the companies will rush to those who actually register work record books. This kind of thing just doesn't exist in Montenegro right now. So the real issue isn't whether there is or isn't a certificate. The problem is exactly this. It's the same story with taxes. That is, when the tax authorities start coming and saying, okay, we have a new law on annual personal income tax, it states that if you can't explain if you haven't declared your assets, meaning the income with which you acquired these assets, deposited money into a bank account, bought real estate, bought a car, your assets increased by 100,000 over the year, but you only declared 10. So 90,000 is above what you declared. According to the new law on personal income tax, for this kind of undeclared income that is for what you essentially hid from taxation, the tax rate is not 15% like for honest people, but 80%. This is already in the law. It's already written out. It can already be applied. So far, it hasn't been applied. I think that in the next year or two, we'll see that everyone will start paying taxes because they'll start punishing people. Right. Something needs to be done to protect state revenues. I completely agree with her that something needs to be done, but we just have different ideas about what exactly should be done. What needs to be done, in my opinion, I've just said. She believes that it's enough to start requiring everyone to have a certificate, and then everything else will follow and universal happiness will come. Alright friends, that's all from me. Thank you all. Goodbye everyone.